we're gonna move on to our final topic of the day. Now,
Huzzah.
granted, again, this is another event that we're a bit late on. It's one we just never got around
It's his
to.
fault.
I know Phoenix. I pushed it off. I don't remember why. You couldn't make one week, and then I went on vacation, so it was just like a snowballing effect of pushing things off. But yeah. So we'll move on. A very anticipated for me. It was a very anticipated event. Was the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. Now again, you could say why was it very anticipated? I was just looking for something to watch and wanted to see some fun game stuff, especially because I would say I'm more of an Xbox guy. I'm more PC, but
Well, I will
I like the
say,
Xbox platform.
Xbox is the only platform I felt like that really tried to hype up their showcase. Like
Their showcase,
Nintendo's just like, bam, here's a direct. Sony, they did like their small little state of play kind of thing, didn't they? For like, and
mm-hmm.
it wasn't even once again like major first party studios. This is the only I think major publishers like, hey, check out what we got. Was super excited and like talked about it like a month in advance and had countdown
Yeah,
timers and all that kind of stuff. So, I guess to your point, that I think you're probably trying to allude to earlier. This was the most E3 like things felt over
yeah.
the past few weeks. As far as how successful that was, I don't know, but I don't know. It was nice to see that much kind of pomp and circumstance kind of added to elevate the emotions of the event.
Yeah. So yeah. To start things off, I guess they did Nintendo ended up kind of copying them for the previous event, but Microsoft at the beginning of this event did at least put that kind of caption on there, just saying, "Hey, these games are all games that are coming out within the next 12 months," which I actually thought was a very interesting thing for Microsoft to do because the previous show that they had, remember in years past, Microsoft has been just willy-nilly throwing out logos, for games that people are never going to expect to see. I think actually from what I read is that Phil Spencer was actually, I don't want to say peeved, don't act like but they said he very much this year was just like, okay, we need to stop doing that. He said, I guess maybe I'm guessing the whole reason for that is maybe to give people more of a reason to go with Game Pass. They want to try and get more subscribers, and continuously putting out games that people aren't going to get to play on there maybe is a bad move.
It's a double-edged sword. Like, people, I mean, it's nice to know that hey, they're working on the next Fable game. But the problem is if you're, that early on in development, where you're not going to see this game for 5 years, then you
hmm
have people just, grasping at straws, be like, "Is this it? Is this it?" And it adds to disappointment every time. There is no details, is no information, and even when they
Yeah,
do have a good showcase, like I know we're going to talk about this showcase, and just spoiler, I thought this was a favorable showcase. It didn't have Fable. It didn't have a new Gears. It didn't. I'm now thinking about all the stuff it didn't have because I know they're working on it, but I didn't get any more details about it. Now, is
yeah,
that a bad thing? I just said a few moments ago that I don't want them to show a game until it's ready. And I think that's probably where Phil Spencer's at. He's like, you know what? If this game is 2, 3 years out and it's not going to be something that we can market and push out now, we shouldn't be putting a lot of emphasis on it. So,
I think
um,
it was a good decision.
yeah,
I,
no,
I
I agree.
I thought this was a pleasant and good showing, in my opinion. For Microsoft.
And honestly, I feel like I know people, and we're going to go through this. People keep getting on Microsoft like there isn't enough there. They don't have Starfield now popping out in November, but there's still just so much value, especially if you go the Game Pass route. And Microsoft is still putting out a lot of stuff. Um,
Like a lot of games. I mean, have you seen this? I don't know if you probably can't. Too late to throw it on there, but this image that they have of all the games coming out in 2022.
oh
Or
yeah,
if I move it over to the screen, maybe you can see it. But yeah, this whole like image right here of like all the titles you can play, it's just crazy. Like that's crazy that many games are coming out this year, and then they've got like already like a list for
go ahead and zoom
2023.
in on
It's
that
like,
just a little bit because it's kind of tiny.
oh, can I? How do I zoom?
Control scroll or Control plus. You can do it. There you go.
Yeah, but this whole thing that's something they put out, but like it's really they look something that I actually really appreciate is they have oh shoot, I can't think of the word. What's the word? They have a oh no, I can't think of the word. What's the a game plan? Uh
A
a
roadmap.
layout roadmap. Sheesh, I don't know why I couldn't think of the word roadmap. But that's something that people always ask for.
Yeah.
People always want roadmaps and you know But well, Microsoft basically has one. This is what we're going to put out, and then this is what we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
And there are some big titles in there. There are a few question marks that we'll get to in a minute, but there's some good meat there until, we do get the next Fable or whatever it may be. So, I
Hmm.
don't know. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of these games.
Yeah, yeah. We'll start digging in there. Let me.
I'll just mention, what do you think of Redfall?
Oh, what I think of Redfall. Get the B rolls going. Oh shoot. Let me get. I want to see your face.
You don't want to see my face?
I
Oh.
said I do want to see your face. I gotta get my notes out of there so I can see what you look like when I beat you down with all my knowledge.
Haha.
But Redfall. I mean, I think it looks fun. That's a bad way of saying fun. That with
Fun?
the
Question mark.
fun question mark. It, I think it's going to be real fun to play with you guys, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know. I guess you could say that for many games. It's fun to play with friends, but it seems like maybe a better effort than Back for Blood was at trying to recreate the Left 4 Dead formula. Not saying that this is Left 4 Dead, but
Oh,
I'm
it's Left
def-
4 Dead. I mean,
I'm definitely hoping to have those kind of like fun, that kind of fun with friends.
this was not what I was expecting of this game. Like, the only thing I remember of this game is that trailer they showed last year, and it was, overly CG. And I know it was, hinting at, you play as different characters and they have different, kind of skill sets and whatnot. But I initially wasn't expecting it to be this co op shooter, Left 4 Dead like experience. So, I don't know. I mean, it looks kind of interesting. I'll tell you, for me, and you may agree or disagree. It's my actually best way I'll say is my wife was watching this with me, and she's kind of looked at me as like, it has an interesting art style question mark, and I'm like, you mean it looks old? She's like, yeah, it looks old. Like, the graphics are just kind of dated to me, and that's, I think, part of Arcane's just,
I was just gonna say it's that arcane style.
yeah, but I don't think it translates well here. Like, I think it can work for some of their more single player focused games, but maybe because this game is trying to be a little more open ended or expansive, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know, not hitting the detail threshold that I'm looking for. Everything just looks a little rough to
Um,
me. Um, and
well,
maybe I'm judging it too
I don't have a
early,
problem.
but
I didn't have a problem with that. I think my big problem is like it looks fun having these abilities and all that stuff, but like part of the thing that made Left 4 Dead so much fun were all of the different enemy types. Like Left 4 Dead, like you could do so much with the zombie formula that like you had the bloaters, you had like the tanks, you had the witches, you the lickers. I mean, freaking, you can keep naming off different enemy types. And I just wonder if the vampire theme, if that's gonna if that can deliver enough variety in terms of fighting monsters. Like, I mean, all you really see is you see some humans, there's some the vampires, and then there's like some sort of poppers or whatever
they like
they
the
showed,
floaty one, and they're like, I think there is plenty of opportunity here. Like, they could do some weird stuff with their vampire
like
lore.
this little popper thing.
Yeah,
But
but they had a few others they've already shown. There was one that like kind of floated above everybody. Like, I think there's enough room here they could do some cool stuff with. I'm not saying they showed a whole lot of that in this gameplay segment. Um,
I think what could oh sorry, good.
no, I mean, I don't know if I really have a whole lot more to even say about it. I don't have any strong feelings about this, to be completely honest. Like, it
I
looks
agree.
neat.
I'm
I
in that
think
same
playing
boat.
it with you guys could be fun. Um, Maybe it's just 'cause I wasn't expecting this type of game. I don't know. Maybe I should have been based upon the original trailers, and I didn't get a good feel for really. I know they
Well,
mentioned all the different classes and archetypes, but what they actually do and how they're going to play, I don't know. And I'm sure that's something that's coming down the line.
this right here is where I'm hoping the game really excels. Is the world itself, the normal world is fine, but like
This
these
upside
sections
down kind of level.
these sections where they keep going into the because I think from what they've kind of said is that each like level is in like a different area of the town. So there's like
Hmm.
a theater that'll be like the theater will be its own level. Uh, I'm sure there's probably a port with boats or something. You know what I mean? Each aspect of the town, there's a church. Each aspect of the town, I think, from what I understand, is going to be like its own area.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping like these weird like you were saying, underworld, otherworldly areas. I'm hoping they're like there's a lot to that when you get inside of them. You know what I mean? Like the
Right.
upside down, like that would be really cool. I'm hoping maybe they're holding back other enemy types that are within that. Cool bosses. That's always nice with any game.
Yeah.
But
I'm not real negative on it. I'm also just not real positive on it. I'm kind of
I just
lukewarm
don't
right
know what
now.
to. I just don't know what to like expect or I don't know.
I think it was weird because they're maybe. I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. They seem to hype it up like this was some big game for them, but to me, I never felt like that. It just felt like kind of this, side game they're kind of working on and kind of revealing. So I guess their expectation, it feels like, of what they think this game is going to be and what my expectation was, aren't really lining up yet. But that's probably just me not, spending enough time kind of focusing on what they're doing here. I don't know.
Trying to look at this like leveling up. It's just up right
Oh,
there.
the skill tree.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the good things is again, Arcane is a great studio. Like
It's true.
they generally put out quality games. So at least there is that like, we know that Arcane is like a quality studio. They're not going to put out a bad game for the most part. I wasn't that big on Prey. I know a lot of people loved Prey, but
I
I thought
liked
I was
Prey.
just I thought it was just I.
I
But
think
you know
that's
what I
weird though.
mean.
Like most of the games that they've done have been those immersive sim-like games. Like you got the Prey, you got the Death Loops, you got the Dishonored. This is such a different type of game for them. Not saying that they shouldn't branch out, and if it's the game they want to
I
make,
was just
more
gonna
power
say,
to them.
isn't that like almost a good thing? Like, don't you want like I don't know, maybe
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that because it depends. Like, and here's the thing: they might put this out and knock it out of the park, and this could be incredible. But part of me is just like, I'd rather play, I don't know, another game
Left or
like,
Dead.
well, no, I'm not saying that, but like another game in the immersive sim realm that I know they're so good at. Because I mean, one, I like that style of game, so maybe that's just me being a little selfish there. But you know what? I tell you what, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about it. I don't really have that much against what I'm seeing here. I'm just, I don't know. I'm a little
Well,
caught off
guess what?
guard. So,
You don't have to spend any additional money on it. It's going to be on Game Pass, so we're going to play it on stream
what? I'm
anyways.
not playing with you. No, just kidding.
What are you talking about? We gotta entertain the millions out there.
All right, let's move on. What else?
I guess I mean just quick mention. I know a lot of people were hyped about this Silk Song game. Never played a Hollow Knight game. I don't know what this has to do with
Oh, there's only
Hollow
one Hollow
Knight.
Knight. Like this is like the sequel, essentially.
Oh well, again, I don't know the hubbub. I mean, to me, it looked like a pretty average looking
Oh, you got to play Hollow Knight.
platformer. Really, I've never played one,
I
or
haven't
I didn't
finished
play the
it.
first one.
Did you ever play Ori and the Blind Forest or any of that?
No, I've always wanted to play those.
I
Never
mean,
played
it's
them. I hear they're
different.
hard.
It's
I hear they're
different,
hard games.
but it's in that vein. Like, I
Well,
mean,
I'm a
these
full.
are extremely polished, and the gameplay is, superb in them. So, I mean, I do recommend it. And I know there's a lot
Interesting.
of hype about this second one, as I still need to finish the first one. But, I know it's big news for those who are into Hollow Knight.
Moving on to another one. Actually, well, again, we won't go through anything, but I'll touch on the kind of the stuff I enjoyed. You feel free to stop me on any one that I feel like I jump over. You might want to talk about.
Sure.
But another one, actually, we talked about it when we were hanging out with our friends. All of our little friend group, we all like Rick and Morty. So getting to see High on Life, I thought looked like a pretty interesting game. Just looks like a weird shooter with a bunch of jokies everywhere. I don't know. I think it looks
So
fun.
weird, man. Have you played any of the other games made by the Rick and Morty
Justin
guys?
Roiland?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Man, I haven't played too many. I played the one VR game that was on the Quest by them, and it is just the weirdest thing. So, I mean,
I want that though.
I do, but I mean, I'm just now imagining that in like a full AAA, expansive game like this. So, I mean, it's gonna be a ride, man. I mean, it looks
This just
unique to say the least.
this just looks like Borderlands, but every gun is that one gun that talks, the one that goes. You remember that one?
Yeah, well, if I know anything about these creators and the games I played, I wouldn't try to gauge your expectations at all. Like, just go in here and just take it for what it is, because it's gonna be a mind trip. So,
That's what I agree. That's what I'm kind of what I'm looking forward to. I guess we'll just touch on real quick. Did you care anything about the whole Riot Games stuff? I know a lot of people are saying that's actually a huge deal, even though a lot of people don't care about it.
I'm not big on League or anything. That's not my thing. From what I understand, though, this is a huge value. So, I mean, if you're into Riot games and you play League and all that kind of stuff, getting a
Valorant.
lot out of it. I guess, and this is just me not having the knowledge of this. I would
I'm in the
imagine.
same boat.
Well, I would imagine if you are already big into those games,
You probably already have all that stuff.
you might. I mean, maybe not all of it. As I said, I don't know the extent of just how much value is here and like what all it's offering to like players who are currently playing their games. Um,
Apparently, owning every character in League is like super expensive.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm sure it's great for those players. I'm hoping there's a good value proposition there, and that even if they have been playing for years and years, this is still offering them something. I don't know if this is enough to pull those that don't play League or Valorant or any of that stuff in to this ecosystem, but maybe the fact that it's available to you might grab a few. So I don't know. I mean, it's more value to Game Pass at the very least. So
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. Then I guess the next one they showed is Plague Tale Requiem again. Or I guess they officially. I don't know if they officially put a date on. I don't know if it had one prior. I know this is technically a major release for Microsoft. Like this is one of those. I don't want to say it's a tent pole, but it's definitely like one of their larger games that they have coming out this
Did you
year.
play the first one?
I never played the first one. I've heard differing things. Like I've heard, I don't know that game. I feel like got some weird. It's very similar to Hellblade. Like there are some people that said it was really good, and there's other people that were like, eh.
Yeah, like just what I've seen of the gameplay and whatnot. I mean, it looks cool enough. It's not a game that would, grab hold of me just watching it. So I mean, I'm not super intrigued. I'm sure it's going to be quality enough, and for those who are into it,
Hmm.
more power to them. But I'm not heavily interested in playing it.
Yeah, I
But that
agree.
doesn't mean it's not good. I mean, the quality of
On
it
Game
looks good.
Pass.
Yeah,
That's such a cool thing to say about every game on here. It's just like, oh well,
well, I'm
I'll try it out
curious
for a
if
little
it's
bit.
every game, and we'll get to that in a minute because there's one or two that maybe I'm missing something on, but we'll get to it. I'm jumping
One
ahead a
of the
little
big
bit.
ones is actually kind of up in the air. One of the ones I
Yeah,
really want to
that's
play.
probably
We'll
what.
talk about it.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Sorry.
Yeah. So again, well, just I guess some other notable ones that there was Forza Motorsport got announced. Overwatch 2 finally came out to open access. That's coming out on October 22nd.
Hmm.
That's a big one. Our history, nah. Bethesda, we got more Bethesda stuff. They talked about more ESO and DLC for 76.
I've been
Uh,
tempted to
oh,
go and finally try 76. Like I
I'll
still
play it
haven't.
if you play it. I'm open to whatever.
I might. 'Cause, I mean, I'll tell you, I still enjoy Fallout even when they're bad Fallout. Like I know a lot of people did not like 4, and they'll argue it's not a good Fallout game.
No,
I still liked
I'm
it. So
I'm open to play anything. Content is content. Even though I don't know, it may not be great, but I'll play it as long as you play it. ESO I've tried out twice, and both
hmm
times because I actually prefer. I mean, we can make it a topic someday, but I prefer the Elder Scrolls versus the Fallout stuff. I think you've said you're the
I'm
opposite,
the
where you
opposite.
prefer Fallout versus Elder Scrolls. Um,
Not
but
that I don't
yeah,
like Elder Scrolls. I mean, I love
no,
Oblivion.
I know you don't. But I've tried to play ESO on two different
It's
occasions,
too
and
cartoony for me. I don't
I got
know.
bored. Just playing by yourself, it's just like you got to have people to play with.
I even played it with people
And I don't
back
make
then.
friends because I don't use
Maybe
my. Oh,
I'm sorry. Not
no,
trying to
go
cut
ahead.
you off. I'm trying to recall. It's been so long. I played it back when it was still relatively new. And I'll tell you,
Hmm.
maybe I just was just doing things wrong, but I was playing with a group and like we couldn't get progress to sync the right way, and I don't know. It didn't feel like a natural Elder Scrolls experience to me. But once again, I didn't give it a huge amount of time, so it might just be me, not giving it enough what due diligence to kind of get through the game. But I
It's
wasn't a big
fair.
fan.
So I want to move on to something that I'm super excited for, which I don't know why, but I want to play on
It's Vin
stream. If
Diesel and
you're
Ark, right?
down, no. Forza Horizon, the Hot Wheels DLC. I really want to try that out. That comes out on the
Now,
19th of next month.
but we'll still have to buy that.
Do you still have to buy it?
Typically, I mean, I could be wrong, but the way most Game Pass things work is the base game is, well,
Mm,
not free, but is included with Game Pass. DLC, though, you typically still have to pay for. So we would have to pay for the DLC. But, I mean, not that I'm opposed to that. I mean, was it going to be 15 bucks, maybe something like that?
I would be down for that. I just know. I just saw the Hot Wheels stuff, and I was. They had the super nostalgic punk rock in the background, and I'm just like, yeah, Hot Wheels. I
It
don't know.
looks fun. I mean, it's freaking cars going through giant loop to loop, so who wouldn't be for that?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
Horizon was fun to begin with. Like, I don't remember why I stopped. Oh, I know why I stopped playing. Infinite finally came out.
I
Um,
never got to play it, so
I mean, I played it for about 2 or 3 weeks before Infinite popped out, and it was a lot of fun. If you're into racing, especially the more arcadey racers, I mean, the core gameplay is excellent. The world is a lot of fun to drive through. So this is
Mhm.
just going to be, a cherry on top, hopefully.
So yeah, so I'll move on to another one that I'm actually super excited for. The game Scorn, which is a game that's been talked about for years and years and years, had such a troubled development cycle. It actually, oh, here it is. It's all the gross stuff. This game actually finally got a release date. I know people have been saying where's Scorn for years because Microsoft has had it at like every single event they've done the last 3, 4 years. But this game, guess what day it comes out? My birthday. Yeah.
Yay.
It's actually kind of crazy, man. The three games that come out on my birthday are this game, Mario and Rabbids, and Persona 5 coming to Game Pass. It's like trying to decide which one I want to play. I think
Don't start
Scorn.
Persona 5 until you've got a
No,
lot of
no.
time. Like, a
Until I
lot of
quit
time.
quit my job.
I mean, man, I played, was it Royal, and it took me like 140 hours or something.
Yeah. No.
Honestly, I don't know if you're going to like it, but that could be a conversation for another day.
We'll see. But yeah, Scorn again. I don't even know if I'll like it. I just know it's a game I've been wanting to play, and it's on Game Pass, and it's my birthday, and that's around the scary season, so it might be fun to stream it.
Yeah, I tell you, they haven't shown a lot of like actual gameplay for Scorn. You get like little nuggets of it,
It
so
looks like it could be wonky, for all I know.
yeah, I mean we'll see. I mean, I think you're if anybody's playing that game, they're playing it for the aesthetic and kind of the body
Yeah,
horror like
the
aliens
Geiger
vibe.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, a super interesting one I just want to touch on real quick was this game kind of came out of nowhere. This game called Flintlock Siege of Dawn. I know this one was one of the ones that a lot of people were talking about that they took away that were most interested. It just, I don't know, it kind of looks pretty different. I think a lot of people were comparing it to, oh man, what's that game on PlayStation that's got postponed?
Oh, the one with
The
the
Dragon.
chick.
Yeah,
Man, what was the name of that? I don't remember now. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. A lot of people were saying, oh, this is the that game killer, just because I don't know, that looks kind of similar and it's got a, female protagonist, but it looks cool, man. It's got some cool boss battles. It looks almost I don't want to say it. It looks almost Dark Souls like, which I'm
I feel
not in
like
favor
the
of, but
developers have made a lot of Souls likes. I think, or at least in that vein, from what I was reading up on. So probably have a little bit of
it
that.
looks cool. You get flying around and you have this monster dog with you.
Yeah, I'm curious how the gameplay is going to feel because sometimes it looks a little floaty, and I'm sure that's probably
Really?
just. I mean, I think it's just because you have the powers. It
It's
just
also a smaller, it's not like a major studio. I
right.
think it's from, yeah, or it's from some new studio or something. So it's interesting, it's a new game from a relatively unknown studio. Looks cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know, kind of go down the list. Let me know if there was anything that really stuck out. I mean, I'll Minecraft Legends, Lightyear Frontier, Gunfire Reborn,
I
Another
know
one that
we're all waiting to
I,
get. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I know which one you, but I was gonna say another one that I thought looked cool. Did you see the last case of Benedict Fox?
Yeah. Uh,
It looked kind of like an
it's
Ori
weird.
in terms of style. It's like a side scroller.
Kind of got some like was it Lovecraft vibes going on here a little bit.
Yeah, I just kind of like the art style and thought it looked kind of neat. Might be a fun little playthrough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're making our way. I see what you got. Anything else? I didn't care about. Oh, Pentiment was one I thought was kind of interesting, not because the game looks particularly my style,
It's a
but you know
Bethesda
who this.
game, isn't it?
It's not a
Or no, I'm
Bethesda
sorry,
game.
Obsidian.
It's an
Obsidian.
Obsidian
That's what I
game.
meant to say.
Apparently, it's made by like the main Obsidian guy.
Hmm.
Like this is made by like the guy who I guess is most credited with doing a lot of the Obsidian stuff. But apparently, this is like him and like like a splinter group of Obsidian. It's just like a passion project. Like I guess this is their like away time away from like Avowed and what was the Outer Worlds or
Hmm.
whatever. I don't know. It just looks kind of fun and it definitely looks different. than other Obsidian stuff. Although I know a lot of people were kind of upset because they were expecting like, "Ooh, this is the Obsidian title we were anticipating," and I guess expectations. People were hoping for like some big RPG or something. But I think people, you know, they deserve to be able to work on what they want to work on, and it's if it's a passion project.
I think this could be one of those games that you're gonna have to play to really understand and get, because just looking at it, I don't know, it's a very different looking game. And I think it's not
Yeah,
going to appeal initially to a lot of people. I've read a little bit about like what this game is trying to do and how it kind of like ties into itself and affects characters over time. It's got some really interesting ideas. I think it's something you're just going to have to be willing to give a chance to.
I just think that it just doesn't reach out to like
It's not going to be a
the
mainstream.
popular
Yeah.
gamer. Yeah.
Like most people are going to look at this, they're not going to see shooty guns, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, no, it's not for
Hmm.
me." When
I think
that's
that's the
fair.
problem. Is a lot of people were wanting like some new RPG, crazy 100-hour experience. You know what I mean? Somebody. That's what people were looking forward to.
Um, Expectations and whatnot. I think it looks neat. I honestly don't know if I'll get into it or not, just because I know it is going to take some time, I think, to kind of understand what this
Oh,
game
I'm
is
gonna
all
play
about.
it.
But
I think it actually looks interesting. It looks very like you make decisions, and based on your
mhm.
decisions, the game operates differently. I don't know. It looks totally crazy and wacky. I'm definitely down for it.
Go.
So before we get to the one you were wanting to talk about, there's just I guess just Grounded finally got a full release. That's in
Mm.
September, which I feel like you would like the game, but again, I played that with our buddy Kyle, and I don't know. It was fun and pre and in early access. We finished the game's main campaign in like 45 minutes
But that wasn't
because
really the main campaign. That was the first
I'm saying
snippet of.
of the early access we
Right.
did. So we were like, oh, is this kind of it? So I'm kind of interested to like go back and actually like experience the game as it was meant to be, or
Yeah,
however.
I'm not real big on playing games in early access because they're not finished.
Yeah,
Unless, I don't know. I feel like a lot of games, unless there's a reason to like grow with the development process, I'd rather play the game when they're done. Their vision's intact. They've added the features they want, and I don't want to say I'm wasting my time playing it early. Some people are
we should
really very
play it
much into it.
if we can get our buddy and back into it. To maybe might be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm down for that. I love Honey I
Mhm.
Shrunk the Kids, so why not?
That's basically it. It was really fun what we played. It's just there wasn't a heck of a whole lot of content,
Yeah.
which was, I guess, kind of expected. But yeah, so we'll move on to honestly, I felt like this was. I'm trying to remember. I think this was honestly my second favorite. It's not. It wasn't an announcement because it was already announced, but I felt like this was the second presentation I enjoyed the most. Was which I actually wasn't expecting. This is Diablo 4. Um, so I'll let you go on. You've been kind of wanting to move on to this one.
Well, I
What'd you
mean,
think?
it looks cool. I mean, I've enjoyed Diablo games. I mean, my wife is the one who's like super into them, but I've always enjoyed them.
Mhm.
Maybe not to the super hardcore level that some others have, but I mean, this one looks fun. The open world nature of it, the class system. I don't know, everything about it. I think from a gameplay standpoint looks good. Graphically, it's definitely going with that darker tone, which I
Mhm.
personally I liked the cartoony, over the top kind of styling of Diablo 3, but I'm not against this either. I mean, it's intense, so I'm for it. I think my biggest thing is coming off of Diablo Immortal. Like, how do you think?
How is it going to be monetized? Is that your
Well, I'm
first
not
thought?
even I mean, I don't know. They're acting, for what I can tell, like it's not going to follow that model at all. There'll be some level of monetization, of course. I mean, Diablo 3 has some monetization to a certain extent. Um,
Then you
but
don't want auction house in this game?
no, and I don't think they're going to go auction house. I guess my
I'm
point
kidding.
is, I am actually relatively confident. Maybe I shouldn't be, that this might be pretty solid on its own. Like, I'm hoping they don't do any egregious microtransactions. I'm hoping they learned a little bit from Immortal. I guess my big question mark is, because Immortal has left such a sour taste in the mouths of so many, core gamers now. Is that going to affect this game at all? Like, whether it be sales or just, expectations of it, or people going to boycott it just because they're all mad at
I
Blizzard?
still don't think Blizzard has lost their touch when it comes to Diablo. Like every game is still fun. It's just, yeah, how is it monetized? How egregious is it?
Well, people are
Um,
getting, they're not putting up with it like they used to. I mean, I
yeah.
know it's still, not the majority of people who are making a huge fuss about it. And there's plenty of people that will still buy this game and not look past the fact that, oh, it's just a new game by Blizzard. They're not going to think about, oh, well, Immortal was this money gouging, scheme. But I think it's definitely a bigger issue than it used to be, and it's definitely got more prevalence now. With you got countries now and other regions looking at Immortal, being like, we're not even gonna let your game into the region because it's so basically gambling structured at this point. So
Hmm.
I'm just curious now that it's gotten to that level of scrutiny and people are so on edge about stuff like that. Will that affect sales for this? And Blizzard just in general, I mean Activision Blizzard, as a whole, has just not been a favorable position from a public standpoint. So, will any of that, do you think, affect Diablo 4's success?
Um, I think it all comes down to like maybe you won't be able to tell with that in terms of this game because Microsoft hasn't like officially owned Activision Blizzard yet, but I think I'd be more interested in how that occurs after this game comes out because I have a feeling Microsoft probably isn't going to have any say as to like, well, right? I mean, that purchase hasn't gone through, so I don't think they have any say as to like
Yeah,
how this game is going to operate. I mean,
yeah, I don't think so. Well, at least
I think
they shouldn't.
after this game, I would think. Well, I don't want to even say that. It's just whenever that acquisition finally goes through, we can finally start to like look at Microsoft and say, okay, how are you going to handle Activision Blizzard? How are you going
But
to
regardless of that, because I mean that's still a
curtail any of
ways
that?
off. Like I
Yeah,
don't know the exact timing on it, but let's assume that's not even something we're considered. I mean, with how Activision and Blizzard is looked at right now, especially coming off the heels of Immortal, if this game released into this year, which I know it's not, it's coming out what next year or something like that.
2023. They didn't give a date on it.
But
I
still,
think
relatively
that's why they didn't
soon.
give a date on it is because the whole Microsoft thing is still looming over them. So I don't know.
I don't know. But my point is, with that being said, ignoring the Microsoft takeover, is that any of that we just talked about going to affect Diablo 4 from a sales perspective?
I think it will. I think it will initially. Like I still feel like Diablo is a big enough name where if the game comes out and they don't have any issues like that, maybe they can kind of make up for it. But definitely to start off with, I think it'll hurt. But maybe that's most important though because it's all about how you start. Just I don't
Mm.
know. It's a tough. I think it's a tough question to answer.
I tell you,
I
I
think
don't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it will affect sales to start. I think
I
no doubt
don't.
about it.
I
You
don't.
don't?
No, here's the thing. Well, okay. Assuming that when Diablo 4 comes out, it is not this dumpster fire. Like, it doesn't have egregious microtransactions. It doesn't have some weird, money house, auction house thing happening. It's just a good, solid Diablo game. People aren't going to care. I'll tell you, we've seen it time and time again. Gamers will get all up in arms about, oh, they're, set up this terrible economy, or the past few games have been terrible. We're going to boycott the next game. Then the next game comes out, it's good, they all buy it. I always remember when everybody boycotted, which Call of Duty was it? Was it I don't know if it's one of the Black Ops or Infinite
Um,
Warfare, but people were just like up in arms, like
I don't
we're.
remember.
There was a whole like Steam group, like we are boycotting this Call of Duty. Nobody's gonna play it. Blah 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 blah. And then like in that banned group on Steam, the day it came out, 90% of the names on there were all playing the brand new Call of Duty day one, because people don't
Yeah.
care. They want to play a game, and if the game is good at its core, unless there's some big barrier to them feeling either morally against playing it that first time or whatever it may be, they're still going to play the game. And here's the thing: Diablo 4, looking at it, it looks good.
It looks good. Again,
Unless they bungle it like
unless they do.
major, which they could. I mean, Blizzard's track as of late has been pretty rocky, so I will be honest there. But I'm going to go with the assumption that they're going to release Diablo 4. It's not going to have some major issues. Will it have some microtransactions and monetization? Sure. I don't think they'll be egregious to the level of Immortal. I'm hoping they've learned their lesson there. And they're also, I mean, this is a different type of game. They're trying to market it differently, sell it differently, so I don't think they're going for that same model. People might be up in arms about it and boycott it for a day or two, But if this thing starts popping up with reviews of 8, 9, 10s, who knows, people are going to buy it and they're going to play it and they're going to enjoy it, and Blizzard's going to make a buttload of money. So I don't know. I think unless there's just some big issue with the game, people are going to play it.
I did think it was interesting how this, screen right here, how there's almost no. Again, I think this is because of the acquisition.
I
Like
don't think it's the acquisition.
well, they don't say if it's coming to PlayStation 4. It just says Xbox console. So I'm assuming it's either going to be a timed exclusive
No,
or an outright exclusive.
well, I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. Maybe. I'm not saying that isn't the case. If you look back on any of the games that they displayed during this Bethesda Xbox showcase,
But they don't even have if it's on Game Pass. There's normally a Game Pass symbol.
well,
So
I don't think it's going to be on Game Pass. But I get my point being is because this is a Xbox specific showcase, none of these games, regardless if like some of these games are known to be multi-platform, they still don't list PlayStation.
they don't list it.
Yeah,
Oh, fair
their
enough.
goal is not to advertise the competitors right now. I mean, this is not saying exclusive on Xbox, exclusive on PC. It's just saying, hey, this game will be available on Xbox consoles and PC. And
Maybe
then
I'm looking too far into it. I don't know. I thought it would.
no, and that's just, I mean, that's marketing or advertising. They want you to associate Diablo 4 with the Xbox name right now. So that's I think what this is about. I don't think that's necessarily about acquisition or anything. I think there's not a specific date because it's still in development and this is a big game. So I mean, I think they are wanting to make sure they release it in a time frame and on a date that they know they're going to hit. I mean, we've seen Starfield get delayed already, and I don't think Diablo wants to say, "Hey, we're going to be out January 1st," and then that date comes and like, "Oh, we need a couple more months." So that's my personal take on it. I don't think it's has anything to do with the acquisition. The Game Pass, maybe. I don't know if this will come to Game Pass. I don't know. I mean, I think if Microsoft gets full acquisition over them, maybe. But this is coming out, I think, before the acquisition is going to really happen. And I don't think
Because I think if Microsoft owned it today, it would be on Game Pass when it comes out.
probably. And I said I don't think that deal is going through until mid next year. I think by then this game will already be released. So I think Blizzard's going to use that opportunity to make as much bank off this game as possible during that initial window. I think it will probably end up on Game Pass eventually, but probably not a day one launch unless all of a sudden that switches around and the deal goes through quicker and then they throw it on the service. But I'm not feeling Game Pass yet, but could be wrong.
Fair enough. All right, so I guess moving on again to just the last couple ones that to me really stuck out. Another one that kind of did was this game, or I don't know, you kind of see that right there. So this game is made by the lead gameplay designer who made Inside and Limbo, both two games that me and you very much enjoy. I would say at least. I know you're you're a little more indifferent on Inside. I loved both Limbo and Inside, but I know you're more of a Limbo fan.
Yeah.
But this game just looked kind of interesting. It's a game called Cocoon, and I don't know, looks like a weird art style. I definitely think it has like a gameplay element that I don't know if I've ever seen. Have you? This whole being able to go into different dimensions or something. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like nesting, kind of
Yeah.
Inception-y kind of stuff.
Yeah, that at least definitely looks like a new type of gameplay. Maybe not new type, but I've never
It's an
seen
interesting
something
mechanic.
like that. It's an interesting mechanic, and
Yeah, this is a
yeah,
fun, vibey kind of game. I'd probably check it out. I do some of these
sometimes
games
a new
though.
mechanic.
No, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say sometimes a new mechanic is all you need to get someone interested. I
Yeah.
want to try it out.
I'll
Go ahead.
tell you. I mean, and I'll have to play it to see. Because what got me through Limbo and Inside is that narrative kind of weird.
What was happening?
Yeah, that's what kind of pulled me through. The gameplay was, good for the most part, like puzzly stuff. So that dragged me through. This game has a very different feel, and it seems like it's got some weird element with this whole final cocoon level they're showing off. But I don't know. I'm a little worried. I'm gonna start playing this game, and I'll vibe
Get
with it
bored?
for a little. I don't know if boards it, but with games like this, I play it long enough. I'm like, okay, that was fun. I was satisfied. And then I stopped. To me, Tunic was kind of like that.
I was just gonna say Tunic was like that. Where granted I stopped because I sucked, but I also was just like, okay, I got this game. I don't know.
And it's not that I dislike Tunic, and part of me wants to go back and play it, and part of it's just I have to gauge my time differently now. I got other things I need to do in life, so I decide, okay, am I going to get more enjoyment continuing this game right now, or am I satisfied? And something like Tunic, I kind of checked off that box early. I feel like I got the core of what the game was, and I was happy with it. I feel like a game like this, I'll probably end up in the same kind of boat after a while, unless the gameplay drastically changes. But we'll see. I said what got me through Limbo and Inside wasn't the gameplay, although that was fun. It was the weird, okay, what's about to happen, and that's narrative games pull me along differently than any of these other styles do at this point. So,
All right, so another one that I thought was kind of interesting was this game called Wolong Fallen Dynasty, made by Team Ninja. I initially was excited because I thought it was Onimusha or Ninja Gaiden, which I thought, but it turns out it's a new IP, which, nothing wrong with that. I was excited until I found out it is a Souls-like. So
just get good, Chaz. That's all you got to do.
I'll try. I'm willing to give the games
You
a
still haven't
shot.
gone back and tried Elden Ring again, so
I actually had people. I have people who have said they want me to go back and play it, and I'm like, maybe someday, maybe this year, I'll go back and give it another try.
Nah, you
I'm
won't.
gonna get a guide though.
I don't
if
believe
do.
you. I feel like a guide would ruin that game. I don't know, but I'm sorry. I'm getting off track.
I'm not willing to go through all the headache though. So another cool thing is we mentioned it in the Nintendo thing, which I guess the Nintendo thing kind of makes this less special now. But Microsoft announced that they're going to be they're releasing to Game Pass Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and then Persona 5 Royale.
I think. I'm sorry. I'll hold my point. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say that's the three main ones, right? I mean, the old ones are on like far older.
They're
consoles.
older. I think 3 is when it really kind of shifted like styles.
To whatever style it is.
Yeah, to kind of this high school romp kind of thing. The older ones, and I never played the originals, but I know they were a different tone, different kind of focus.
I know the old ones are like very serious, like RPGs, kind of. I think.
Yeah,
I could be
these got
wrong.
a little more high school melodrama anime-ish, which I mean, I think is kind of where they found their sweet spot. I guess what I was gonna say is you said that this isn't as special, but honestly, I think it's nice having these two different ways now to play because it's appealing to two different people. Like for those
handheld and Game Pass.
well, it's not even just handheld. Here's the thing, like most, like, how do I want to say this? For those who just want to play these games on the cheapest possible way, Game Pass is a godsend, right? Because now you're getting three games, and some of these games are very expensive. Like Persona 4, like the golden version, I think the only physical way to play that I think is on the Vita, and that's kind of hard to find now.
I have it on 360, but I think it's
no,
not.
you
I
have the
Arena.
fighting game. Yeah,
I have Arena.
yeah, they didn't release it on 360. I'm pretty sure Persona 4 was initially a PS2 game, but it wasn't golden. I think Vita is the only golden, and then they had it on PC. So this is probably one of your cheapest ways to get a hold of that and play it. And Persona 3, I think, pretty similar. But I tell you, from a physical collection standpoint, I think people are really going to like the Switch versions because, I mean, the portable aspect of it, I don't know. I think people like to collect for the Switch more, I think, than the Xbox. I don't know. Just the style of game, I think, is going to really kind of fit that nature of that console a little better. So I think it's nice to see that you have these two different options now to play it. You have the free, easy access option, and then you've kind of got the long-term preservation collector's version for portability. So I don't know. I think it's going to serve these crowds well.
A point someone made that I didn't know, but is super interesting, is that, like, considering this is coming to Game Pass, I think what's his name? Blessing at EOA Jr., who's with the Kind of Funny crew. He said that, like, for essentially no extra price other than your Game Pass subscription, these three games alone, you're getting like over 1,000, almost 1,000 hours worth of game.
It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's
crazy how long some of these games are.
I think 1,000 might be stretching it. I don't know the time frames of 4 and 3. Royal, I know, is 150 hours or so. So if you say that for all three of them, I think what people are thinking, if you want to see everything and you try to do multiple playthroughs, then sure. But
which even 500 hours for 3 games is like
this is a big amount of content, and these are all good games. I think appeal to a broader audience than definitely they used to. The Persona series has been growing a lot over the past few years, so this was a great pool. I mean, I know that yes, you're right. Switch getting it steals a little bit of Xbox's thunder, but the fact it's on Game Pass really adds to it. I think it softens the blow that stuff like, Starfield isn't hitting immediately. So,
Mhm. Well, if you think about it, if you go out and you get if you get a Steam Deck, can you access the Xbox Game Pass through Steam Deck?
you can. I know that's a weird workaround. I'm not sure exactly how well it works. I don't know. I haven't watched a whole lot of tech videos on it, so I can't really speak.
You could play it that way if you
Yeah.
got a Steam Deck and you get Game Pass on there.
Well, here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing too, and I don't know if these are going to go back just a little bit. Did it say if these are going to be on cloud or not? Yep, right there, PC cloud.
Yeah,
So you could play all three of these on your phone, and honestly, these would be really good phone games.
because they're not like super activity driven action.
Like they're turn based, but in a different way. They're definitely games that you don't have to have Twitch responses with. So honestly, that would be great to play on your phone or something like that. Like actually, I didn't realize that. I'm more excited about it now because I can
Mm,
play this on the go. Um,
interesting.
and honestly, that makes the Switch. I mean, the Switch is still great from a physical collection standpoint, but if I could play this on my phone, then have my progress transferred to my Xbox when I get home, and I don't know, that's a pretty good deal, man.
Yeah.
I'm digging that.
All right. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. We'll see. We'll see when they come out. I definitely want to stream at least. I know Persona 5.
Start with
People have been
5.
talking about that. People have been talking a lot about that game.
Yeah, here's the thing. These don't, like, from my understanding, you don't have to play like 3, then 4, then 5. They're all pretty self-contained, although there are themes that play through all of them. I think, just for me, 5, I think it hits a little harder, but I don't know.
Fair
You
enough.
do you.
All right. Another thing, there was a big announcement that Phil Spencer had, and that is that Microsoft has finally partnered up with Kojima for a game. They were very kept it very close to the vest exactly what's going on
We
here.
won't see this for 6 years, man.
They didn't say whether it was an Xbox exclusive, if Sony's gonna get it, what.
What's kind of funny about this is they made this big thing. All the games you hear and talk about are all going to be out this year. I know they didn't say this game, but
This
this
is the only one that was
game's,
like,
yeah, it's
you'll
not
never see
coming.
it.
Well, you
Yeah.
gotta think because Kojima's working on, I think it's pretty much official, Death Stranding 2. So that's probably his current project. That's going to be a couple more years probably, and then this is going to happen after that. I mean, I don't know how big a studio is at this point, but we're not seeing this for a long time.
I hate to say it, I'm kind of excited, but not really. I don't know. I'm more of a Metal Gear fan, so if he announced he was bringing Metal Gear to Xbox, I would have been like, woohoo! But I don't know. Just on the whole, I was just like, okay, we'll wait until we get more info.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a horror game. I think is what everybody's kind of going on, which I know that ticks some of your boxes a little more. For me, a little less so, but we'll see. We'll find
Fair
out
enough.
when we're 60 what game it is.
All right, we'll get to the last game that was announced, or not announced, but finally got to show off some gameplay of Starfield, and they showed a lot. And I'll be
I'm not gonna
honest,
say a lot.
I feel like they showed a lot,
Mm,
but I initially was worried when this trailer started because I mean they started it, and of course you had Todd Howard come on stage and talk about it. But when they first started the trailer, that whole opening section, this section right here, looked bad. I think the combat looks bad. It just looks. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it looks very Bethesda-y,
hmm
which I don't know why I was expecting anything more, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Like people, and to be fair, I mean, this is what hype does to a game. People need to understand who is making this game. This is Bethesda. Every game
mhm,
they put out that I can recall, especially in this style, the combat's been not the primary thing about the game. Like I can't think
yeah,
about any Elder Scrolls game where I'm like, man, that combat was sweet. Fallout games, serviceable at best. Like these games are
it is
always
what I
about the
expected.
world and the
Hmm.
exploration. So the combat looks serviceable. It does not look, super innovative or mind blowing or anything like that. But
No,
that's not what I expected. So I'm cool with that so far.
yeah, fair enough. Well, I don't want to say I'm cool with that because at first I was like, well, because I didn't know there were so many other elements of the game at first I was like, oh, is this mainly what we're going to be doing? But then of course they branch out and they talked about how it's a lot of Bethesda like political based stuff. There's a lot of dialogue. I'm still kind of curious. Is this gonna have some of the older Bethesda games dialogue option trees, or is this gonna have Fallout 4's
I don't know.
dialogue option trees and event and cause and effect, like
Yeah, we didn't
super
see that, did
basic? You know
we?
what I mean? No. So I don't
How do
know.
you
I
feel
would
about the
prefer.
comparison? This is pretty much just No Man's Skyrim.
I don't think that's a fair comparison because
Think about the
I
gameplay
mean,
they've
No Man's
shown,
Sky.
man. Like, you go to these planets, you harvest stuff, you build your ship, you fly off, you go to another planet, you repeat the process. Like, there's definitely
Yeah,
some No
but
Man's Sky stuff, and
I I think it would be troubling if there's nothing to do on these other planets. If there are actual side quests, if there are actual like other plot elements, if there are actual RPG stuff going on other planets, I won't care about that. But like you said, if it comes down to all these other thousands of planets that they said you can go to, if it comes down to it that those are actually like pretty empty and they're all procedurally generated with not much to do, then yes, I think it's going to be a problem.
yeah.
Because I'm expecting like full on RPG-ness. Like every planet you get to go to, maybe there's a different civilization, maybe there's other quest givers. I know that's hard to expect
Gauge your
from
expectations, man.
yeah.
I'll tell you, here's the thing. I'm mostly on board with this game. I'm not overly negative with it because I didn't have super high expectations of this to begin with. This is about what I thought it was going to be. Like the No Man's Skyrim thing, I know sounds like a dig, but honestly, that's fine with me. Like I haven't played No Man's Sky, but I like
I've
the
actually been
general.
wanting to play it now that this is coming out.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the general concept of that kind of thing, and having you're right the Bethesda style RPG elements to it. I'm game for that. So you have some quest givers, you
I
go
am.
do some cool little side stories. Like I said, I liked Fallout 4. A lot of people didn't, but I was game for stuff like that. I like Fallout 3, and
I thought it was just okay.
but I
I
mean,
wasn't
if
like
that's
blown away.
the level of stuff we're gonna get on this, just in space, for the most part, I'm cool with that. I am still really um, well, I don't know what's the word I want to say. I don't want to say hesitant or nervous, but maybe I
Indifferent.
am. Well, no, I mean, maybe I am nervous about it. 1,000 planets. Like, they can't be all curated by the developer. And I think they said as much. These are procedural to a certain extent. I
Mm,
mean,
can we get three-fourths of those to have
okay,
interesting things?
I'm gonna try to just like scale back for just a second.
Can we get half of them to
Well, no,
be
no.
interesting?
Let me do this thought experiment with me for just a minute. I know this is a next gen ish game, but let's think about Fallout 4. Do you think there were 1,000 quests in that game?
No.
Okay, I mean, and I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, there's a lot in Fallout 4 that I know
There
I
may
didn't
have
even
been like
touch.
100, 150,
I
200.
think there are more than that. I mean, I think there's probably several hundred. 1,000 probably be reaching. So imagine if there, even say there were 1,000 quests in Fallout 4. So that means if you expounded that and kind of placed it into this game, that's
Hmm.
one quest per world. How do you feel about that? And that's, I think, best case scenario. Beyond being like the kind of procedural type quests of like, go here and kill X amount of these things, collect so many of that stuff, kill enemies over here. Like unique quests on each planet at the scale of 1,000 planets and having more than just one thing there. Man, like
Yeah.
to me that sound I mean honestly, even if the game's not great, if they do somehow just make it to the point where these planets have more than a couple of unique things, that's an achievement right there. Like even if they're not
Yeah.
great, if there are 3 to 4 unique things to do on most of these planets, hats off to them.
Do you think it could be like the opposite of the Mass Effect thing where like Mass Effect was able to get across discovering and exploration and all that stuff while also for the most part giving you fairly linear or not except for the first one. The first one was a little more open,
Well, I
but
don't think
like
any of the Mass Effects really ever hit real well on that either. I mean, 2 and 3, you scan planets. You don't really get to explore stuff. Like the scope of the
not
galaxy, especially
fair.
if you're not doing the resource management stuff, was fairly limited. I mean, there were some stuff you could do, but I don't know. No game has really ever reached that kind of scale and it felt curated. Like it's procedural or it's, kind of just repeating the same type of task at each place. And I get why they do that. It adds scope to the game, but I would rather say, okay, I want 100 planets. 100 planets where every one of them has 10 really good missions on it. I'd be
Yeah.
far more into that. And that would still be a huge game. Like having 1,000, I don't know. Like I know this is the concern that everybody's feeling. Like what 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 does that add to the game to say I've got 1,000 planets if there's nothing cool to do on each one of them? Like what's the point? And
Yeah, I
I'm getting a little
agree.
more negative. I didn't even feel this way before I started this conversation, but the more I think about that, the more nervous I get about it. There's stuff I'm going to like about this game, and I'm sure they are going to have a handful of really cool missions and cool worlds.
Well,
Like,
now that I think about it, another problem they might have is that. So let's say you visit that 1,000 planets, and you put in the 300 hours it takes to see everything in the game, and then you get to whatever this mystery is of the universe, center of the universe, and it's a peanut. You know what I mean? Like is that gonna like like they also have to deliver something interesting at the end?
well, I
You know
don't.
what I
Here's the thing. I
mean?
don't think that's the focus of this game, and I could be wrong. Like, I know that was the focus of No Man's Sky, get to the center of the universe.
Oh, they showed that was the whole.
That's the goal of this game.
That's the goal of this game, is to see what's out there.
Oh, okay, see what's out there, but that doesn't mean find the center of the universe. Like that could be a more narrative driven thing. Like I have a feeling knowing Bethesda, it's going to be heavily narrative. Like No Man's Sky, very little narrative. It is all just about, exploration till you get to this position to find the center of the universe. I
Hmm.
don't think that's what they're going to do here. I think there will be a narrative that pulls you a direction. Because I know Todd Howard also said, okay, we got 1,000 planets, but you don't have to go to them. And that once again is another kind of red flag to me. So okay, so I don't have to go to these 1,000 planets,
So I'm
and
not missing out on anything
not missing out. And
interesting.
you got to think about this from a developer standpoint. They have to know that the majority of the people playing this game will not go to all 1,000 planets. Honestly, though, most people are going to go to the major ones, right? So say there's a tenth of those planets, if that, you have to go to. That's where the majority of their development effort is going to be. The locations and places that they can almost guarantee the majority of players are going to visit. The other 800 planets, I mean, how much development time can they have? Especially hearing some of the stories about this game already that, this could be the next Cyberpunk, I think is what one of the developers said in some
Well,
kind of
let's say they
anonymous
do a good
interview.
job of directing you to the interesting 100 planets. Is 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 I don't know. Would that be worth it if you just kind of know? Oh wait, so these group of
And I think so.
like
Like, I'm not trying to say, I know I'm coming across real
like you can go to
negative.
the other 800 or 900 planets if you want, but there may not be much. But your directive planets, like those are going to have your quests and all that stuff.
As long as, the core, gameplay is good and the main narrative and the stuff that drags you along through is still of good quality and feels unique and curated, then I'm going to be okay with it. I mean, I think it's going to be a bit of a disappointment that, you have 800 planets that may not have a whole lot on it. But, I mean, that's not going to, I think, hurt my initial opinion of the game too much as long as the core game is still fun. I'm just trying to get the point across that I am really hesitant, or I'm not very optimistic that they can really make 1,000 planets and make it worth it. And I'm trying to think what the rationale for making 1,000 planets, visitable, even worth it. Like, why'd they do that? Why would they waste development? I don't know. I'm going way off on a tangent now. I'm sorry, and I don't know anything.
It's because Todd Howard is super sweet, man.
Oh,
Um,
well, I guess my point is, especially coming from Fallout 76, where they missed the mark, right? They clearly went off in a direction that didn't quite hit with the core audience. You would think that now, okay, they'd want to go ahead and make a very focused experience that is going to be quality through and through. And I'm having a hard time understanding about how making 1,000 planets is going to be able to meet that design focus. Not saying that
you
that
just
is their design focus, but I would imagine it probably should be.
you just gotta blindly believe in Todd Howard.
Which,
Just
no, you shouldn't. If you play any of his recent games, you shouldn't. I'm not saying the guy doesn't put out fun games still, but He is slowly becoming the new Peter Molyneux, where he overhypes something to the extent of you need to have a lot of salt with whatever he says. So I don't know. I am not against this game by any means. I am actually still relatively excited to play it because I like these style of games at their core. But don't get your hopes up about having 1,000 unique planets to go visit. I think that's reaching a little bit.
I'm in the same boat. I'm like tentatively excited. I'm more curious, I would say, than excited, but I don't know. I think as long as they're able to deliver a good, normal Bethesda type experience and are able to fulfill some sort of wonder with the universe, I'll be happy.
A lot of people are getting on them too, just because like they so far, for what we've seen, have a very muted color palette for something that's supposed to
Oh yeah.
span the entire galaxy. I know,
Hmm.
some of space is going to be, not the prettiest thing. It's going to have some desert planets and whatnot, but they haven't shown much as far as, there's some very colorful things that you could experience out there, and we're not seeing that. So that's a bit of a letdown, especially when you think of a game about No Man's Sky that's basically like a
Super
past,
colorful.
yeah, like
Yeah.
watercolor explosion. So I don't know. Different focus though, so we'll see.
Yeah. Again, I don't feel like there's really a heck of a whole lot. I mean, it's got a lot of the Fallout based stuff, weapon modding. You've got your like planet or your what's the word? Your campments, your camp.
Oh
You can
yeah.
like spread out and build and stuff.
There's something I was disappointed, and I was wondering this. I was watching the trailer, so they show your ship, taking off, and they show your ship in space, but they officially confirmed afterwards you
Oh
don't
yeah,
actually
you don't
fly off
actually.
the
Yeah.
planet, which is
Hmm.
something No Man's Sky does. Which I don't know. That seemed like a pretty to me. That's a cool thing. That was actually one of the cooler things about No Man's Sky that you literally could just fly off the planet, go through space, and land somewhere else in this one seamless motion. And I know that their engine was developed for that, but uh, I don't know. The fact that I don't know, I know it's not something that you have to have, but I would have really liked to see that small little piece of gameplay where I could,
You got some space combat though.
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. It looks, but even that, it just kind of looks fine. I don't know.
I think my problem is like the space combat to me looks very basic. Like I was actually hoping that like is there like cause and effect with space combat? Like if I attack a random ship, am I like could I get in trouble with like some trading route company or am I going to tick off like a bandit group or space pirate group or can I like can I like
Yeah,
find a way um to like paralyze this ship, get on there and like steal all of their stuff or kill all of them,
and probably
like
not. Like, here's the thing: you have to think about past Bethesda games. Like those little nuances, those details of gameplay, is not something they've really ever honed in on for like their Fallout games or something like that.
it's like heavy sci-fi stuff. That's like heavy
Well, not even
nerd
just
like
sci-fi, but like what you were saying with like a faction being upset that you've attacked their ships. Like Bethesda on their like Fallout games, their faction stuff is really light, and I mean that can be
Mhm.
fine. I'm not always looking for that kind of cause and effect for every single decision I make. Some people are, but I think that's why a lot of people liked things like New Vegas so much. There was a lot of that cause and effect, and pulling back and forth between different factions. And I don't know. I'm just not confident that Bethesda is going to go ahead and deliver something like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, can I land on this giant asteroid?
And I'm sure the answer is no. Like, I think that's what I'm starting to see is this is not feeling like this one seamless, immersive space adventure. It's going to be like you load into space, you have your space combat moment. You load onto the space station, it will go to a loading zone, now you're in the space station. You load onto a planet, which is fine. And I guess what I was saying earlier, like nothing about this is going to, blow your mind or be some new innovative experience. Like it's going to feel, I think, like a fairly standard Bethesda game for all its pros and cons, just in space. So take that for what it is.
Uh, there were some people that said some funny stuff I saw online. Like someone was like, "How long do you think it'll take before somebody makes a ship that looks like a penis?"
Oh, as soon as the game is launched. But
There was that, and then someone said, wouldn't it be kind of cool if like the science in the game because you can build your own ships? Wouldn't it be cool if you can build something that's like totally not aeronautical or
well, of
that's like
course you can.
that like functionally doesn't work and will blow up once you take off?
Oh, like from a technical standpoint, oh man,
Yeah,
I don't think they'll let you do that. I don't think
that'd be
they'll.
cool.
It'd be cool, but I think they'll have some limitations in the builder. It'll be just like when you could build camps and stuff in Fallout and all that. Like it'll be locked in a very confined kind of
Like if you build a ship
builder.
without thrusters, like how does it
Yeah,
take off?
I don't know.
I
We'll
don't
see. I don't know, and I'm not trying to come down really hard. I know I'm sounding really negative on this game, and I'll tell you, going into this podcast, I was actually pretty positive about this game, but I do think you gotta gauge your expectations. I think this will be, at its core, a good, fun game. It's gonna be like an
I'm
8
in
out of
the
10,
same
I think,
boat.
for most people.
I'm in
It's
the
not
same
gonna
boat.
be the
Yeah.
10 out of 10 people are expecting, but that's okay. It doesn't really need to be, and I think if people can go into it just understanding, it's a Bethesda game. Keep that in mind through and through. You'll have some fun with this, but don't expect the
Hmm.
world or a
I
thousand
agree.
worlds.
Yeah. All right, so we're kind of running a little bit long, but I think that's our overall thoughts
Giggity.
on. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I guess I kind of just had one question I thought I wanted to throw out. Oh, we forgot to talk about our. Oh man, I totally forgot to bring up our predictions.
Oh, I don't think we really need to. I
No,
mean,
there's
we
nothing
kind of
for.
hit on that before. They didn't talk about anything that wasn't coming out this year, and a lot of our predictions were kind of those.
Wait,
Hmm?
I'll just bring up some notable titles. Yeah, they didn't bring up a lot. I mean, we didn't get the Indiana Jones game that's been referenced. We didn't see Perfect Dark, Data Decay 3, no Fable, no Avowed, Outer Worlds 2. We didn't see anything about Gears, Hellblade, Everwild.
Which is all fine. It's stuff that's not coming out this year, which is okay. And here's the thing:
Mm,
some of these games, honestly, I think are going to fit better end of next year. Like they've announced a lot for this year. Yes, I know they're still missing like their big flagship, end of year title, but I think they've got enough to get them through. I think next year you'll start seeing the Gear 6 and the Fable and stuff like that. That then the ball just starts rolling. I think they'll be in pretty good
mhm,
shape. So I don't know. I'm not, worried about where they're at. I think Xbox is doing the right move by focusing on what they have readily available that's going to come out this year. And, they gave us, there's a lot there. There's a lot they announced. Honestly, I think there's more in some aspects than I've seen that Nintendo's displayed or PlayStation. Granted, I know PlayStation still has exclusive that people are excited about, but there's a lot here for core gamers. So.
mm. So I just had one more question, just super quick. I just kind of want to throw it out there. Who do you think won not E3 this year?
I'm gonna say Xbox only because neither of the other two publishers talked about any first party anything. Like Sony didn't.
Wow, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's basically true. Sony or
Sony they
Nintendo.
needed to mention God of War. I'm still surprised and a little hesitant they haven't mentioned God of War.
There's a
Um,
rumored July state of play, but I think a lot of people think it's going to be
and
just God
maybe
of War
they
related.
may have wanted their own space to separate themselves from all the other games. I get that. I think that's the whole reason why a lot of these developers aren't don't care about E3 anymore. They're like, yeah, let's give everybody room so each game can kind of breathe and get its recognition. So maybe that's what they're doing. But I mean, if you're trying to wager which one of these did the best, it's the one who showed the most first party stuff, and that
Hmm.
was Xbox. Nintendo didn't release anything about a Zelda or Mario or really
Metroid.
anything Metroid. So not that I didn't say some cool stuff about games that are in the pipeline, but not the big stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think Xbox, I don't want to say leaps and bounds, but I thought they were the only ones that put forth an E3 like showing,
Yeah.
if that's any sort of positive.
Now, I guess here's the thing to think about now. Xbox has completely shown their hand for the rest of the year, pretty much. Like, there's nothing really super exciting that they could announce, I don't think. I mean, that would come out of left field. I mean, unless
Not
they,
unless they pull something forward,
yeah, which I think would be probably a
which
little odd right now. I think if they
yeah.
had something big, they probably would have already done it. So I think very much Sony or Nintendo could steal their thunder. Sony's probably in the best position to do that. If they do come out in July, and like, all right, God of War coming out in November, blah 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 blah. That's gonna do really well for them. Even though that's it's one game, that's a big game for a lot of people.
I
Um,
agree.
Nintendo though, I don't what besides Pokemon, I don't think they really have a lot coming out this year. No way Metroid's coming out anytime this year. And Zelda they already said is next year. So they've got Pokemon. which is fine. They've got plenty of stuff with just that, but yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at with all three.